Like you. Stoney, what the fuck? Don't you dumbass bitch! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck yeah! Oh. So.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone.
Like, ow. When are you gonna be home? When are you gonna be home?
A few minutes. You want pizza? Domino's?
Papa John's?
I mean, Papa John's, sorry. Papa
Yeah.
John's.
Yeah.
Okay, just pizza or wings?
Get buffalo wings, please.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna order it now. No, it should be home when they get there.
Alright.
Okay.
Wait, put it so they leave it at the door. Wait, are you ordering it? Are you like getting an online order? Like, are they delivering it? I mean, or are you gonna pick it up? Dad? Come on, Marcy. Here. Is it being delayed for like 3 days? Still gonna race it at 8? Cause I mean, he's looking. I don't think we are. What? I guess we're not the race tomorrow. Yeah, looks like we're on.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that ready to launch stage.
If you're able to win an FNCS, you are an amazingly good player. However, throughout the 20 FNCS tournaments that have been hosted, there have been some winners who have been a lot worse than the other champs. So today I'm making a fully structured list where I'm counting down the best to worst FNCS winners from Europe, NA East, West, and of course Central. The beauty of all of these FNCS champions is that they have different and interesting skill sets that won them the trophy. I'll of course go over all of this, so let's get into it. The best FNCS winner ever is Tayson, having won on 5 separate occasions on the very hardest region of EU, in solos and trios twice, and once alongside Murstache in duos. He is the most well-rounded player to have ever touched the game, and this comes from numerous impressive qualities. The thing is, the very best stat in the world is performing under pressure. This quality was put on display in his most recent FNCS win, where he had to solo clutch a good chunk of points to win it all, playing against none other than Malibuka in the process for the title. Because of Tayson's laser-sharp focus, he was able to clutch enough points points to win the entirety of the tournament and take home $200,000 alongside his duo. And although it was close between first and second, Tayson ended the tournament on 605 points, whereas third place ended on nothing more than 482, making a difference of 123 points. And talking about making a difference, Mero is the second best FNCS winner ever. Mero has, for years now, been the one to show that being a controller player and being at the very peak of competitive play is possible. A lot of people will disagree with me in saying that Mero is the second best player in the world. However, with 6 FNCS wins under his belt, one even being at the FNCS Global Championship, not only playing against North America's best, but the very best players from all around the world. Now, I don't know about you, but when I categorize good players, I look at results. And Mero's got close to the most impressive results out of any player. There are 2 main attributes that makes Mero the best. First, how he's able to make something out of even the worst situations, or in other words, how clutch of a player he is. And secondly, Mero is never scared to take major risks if he knows it can win him games. His risk management is arguably the best in the entire world, and as a result of this skill, he has got, in his own words, not 1, but 2, but 3, but 4, but 5 FNCS wins, make it 6 now. Someone who does not have 6 FNCS wins, but won 6 out of 12 games in an FNCS Grands is Veno, the third best FNCS winner. He has won FNCS twice, once with Aqua and once with Queasy. Veno is the best aggressive player in the world, both when it comes to applying pressure in fights and knowing when to be aggressive in endgame situations. Veno has always been someone who has been highly critical of his own as well as his teammates' gameplay, resulting in a lot of improvement over the years. Not only has Veno won 2 FNCSs, but he's also been super close as he has gotten second in Solo All-Stars and second in the 2022 Invitational as well. And talking about the 2022 Invitational, the winner of that tournament, Seri, is up next. Seri has always been someone who has been better than most at adapting to different metas and trying out things people wouldn't even think could work competitively. Amongst those, you have using the dub shotgun to get high ground in top tier comp lobbies, and of course also sitting in Storm during the 2022 Invitational to get Storm Surge and set himself up for the rest of the game. Seri, alongside Cammy, undeniably also has the best communication out of any team that has ever played the game. When you watch this duo play, it's literally like watching one player, and how these two understand each other's strengths and weaknesses make them one of the most dynamic duos in all of Fortnite Competitive's history. Another name that will forever be in Fortnite Competitive's history is Mongraal, one of, if not the most influential competitor ever. Mongraal has won FNCS once, and he did so alongside Tayson and Metro in Chapter 2 Season 4. He has an impressive list of incredible qualities. He has by many been considered one of the best mechanical players, both when it comes to building and editing, but also his aim. We all also know how much of a funny person Mongraal is, and his personality, although sometimes annoying to someone as serious as Tayson, has always gone a long way in regards to keeping his teammates' mentality good throughout important tournaments as well. Another period other than Chapter 2 Season 4 where Mongraal absolutely dominated was in Chapter 1 Season X, where he played with Benji and Metro. At this time, he seemed unstoppable, and you could argue that he was the best player in the world.
I thought Booth 47 was Lords of Triniton.
Oh, the comic convention was last week.
What?
This
This is a player that could have been a lot higher on this list, but I've said it before in a previous video and I'll say it again. Every player that plays with Queasy becomes incredible, so seeing just how good Queasy is individually is incredibly difficult, in comparison to someone who clutches all the time and puts on a show. Of course, this skill of getting your teammates to an extremely high level to where they're able to play the game your way so that you succeed together without having to solo clutch on and off could be argued to be a skill that makes Queasy one of, if not the best player in the world. As you all know as well, Queasy is an IGL, and he was able to accomplish one of the most impressive feats of an in-game leader ever, a 50% win rate in a 12-game Grands on the hardest region of EU. Queasy has been around from the very beginning of Fortnite and has always been a very hard worker with one goal in mind, being the best. And that is something he has accomplished numerous times, putting his skill on display when it really matters, and as a result, he has racked up an impressive $850,000 in earnings. One player that does not need to work super hard is Bugha. Now, don't get me wrong, he has put in his fair share of hours, but if there's one pro player who is made for the game, it's him. Everything from his mouse control to game sense is just flawless. Bugha, of course being the World Cup winner, could be argued to be the greatest of all time, as he on top of that has 3 FNCS titles. One thing that I have always respected Bugha a lot for is how he's able to understand when something doesn't work. As soon as Bugha understands that a teammate or a strategy is flawed, he doesn't sit around for the bad results to come in before he takes action. He does it ahead of time. This of course has stirred up a little bit of controversy once or twice, but the times he has dropped a teammate or made another major change, it has always worked out for the better. Janus is the 8th best FNCS winner and one of the most underrated ones. He has 3 trophies, one of them being in solos, which is incredibly impressive, one being trios, and of course most recently a duos win with Vidil. Janus is insanely consistent with everything he does, whether it be grinding the game, streaming, or even in-game qualities like mechanics and aim. I believe one of the main attributes behind his success is his ability to just never miss shots. In team modes, you know you can count on him to hit for a ton of damage, and in solos, he knows that taking a 50-50 duel will most likely result in him winning. He has also been at the top for an impressively long time, and closing in on $1 million in earnings, there is no doubt that he's one of the best to ever do it. The first NAWS player on this list, and coming in as the 9th best FNCS winner, is Epic Whale. Epic has secured 6 FNCS wins. He won Gamers 8, and on top of that, he got 3rd in the World Cup solos. If he had performed better when East and West combined into NA Central, I would have put him higher up on this list because of the dominance he has shown competitively, both globally and on his previous home region of NA West. Epic is an interesting player. He has mastered skills like crosshair placement, free aiming, and his understanding of layering in endgames specifically is top notch. There's no denying that he is very smart, both in-game and outside of the game. I hope to see Epic keep on playing and improving, as he's been a positive person.
Whoa! I just got the last buff points I needed for a new keyboard!
I don't know, guys. Can we trust these apps? Seems a bit sketchy to me.
Come on, dude. Not everything is a conspiracy. Buff is legit.
Yeah, I've been using it for months. No issues, just loads of rewards.
Just don't like the idea of apps knowing everything about me.
Chill, man. Buff is safe. No resource hogging, no mining, just playing games.
Well, I like free stuff.
Person in the community, and he's been here what seems like forever. Someone who has not been in the scene forever is Quald. He has won 1 FNCS, and he did so alongside Acorn. Quald is widely recognized as one of the most clutch players in the game, doing crazy stuff in both fights and endgames that very few have ever come close to matching. He got his lucky break when Scented gave him a chance, as he needed a duo for the Duos Cash Cup on NA West. It turned out that Quald would go on to perform at an impressive level throughout the tournament, and they actually won their very first tourney playing together. This was also Quald's first tournament win, and Scented and Quald would continue playing after this. Only 3 weeks later, he would go on to win his first solo Cash Cup, and from there he took the comm scene by storm, winning the next Duos Cash Cup, getting 5th in that season's Grands, and 2nd in the one after. Quald really got given an opportunity and made the absolute most of it, performing incredibly well even under the pressure of the high standard of someone like Scented. And on the topic of high standards, Cammy is next up on my list, as the 11th best FNCS winner ever. Cammy, obviously being Seti's duo, is a phenomenal all-around player. His mechanics are out of this world, and much like Seti, his comms are top-notch. Cammy is someone who's been around for a very long time, and he actually played the majority of his early tournaments with Cubex, who is a massive polished streamer. Cammy was a talent already from day one, placing 64th in his first tournament, the Scallywag Cup, and the placements only got better from there. When we're talking about the best players who has been around for a long time, we also need to talk about Aqua, arguably the best EU player of 2019. Aqua's story is a little different to most pros, as he's been struggling a lot with wrist issues. Luckily, he was able to cash in $1.5 million in the World Cup, which has given him a lot of financial freedom in terms of not having to play to earn an income. In addition to his World Cup win, he has managed to secure 2 FNCS titles, once with Stompy and Chinken and once with Veno. Aqua comes and goes a little bit from the competitive scene, but the amazing thing about him is that even when he's been on break for over a year, he's able to come back and instantly start performing insanely well in tournaments. Merstash is next up, and although he has only won 1 FNCS, I think he's one of the very best players in the world. Unlike a lot of other players.
So the ontology here, I've got a game and a stadium. This game has teams. These teams have plays. They make play calls from a playbook. I have players that go execute them. This is the nouns and verbs that make up the game or your business. Similarly, I'm now talking in the language of the game. So if we actually look at how a player object is created, you can see there's a bunch of different data sources coming together in real time. Similarly, how you have data spread across your enterprise, I've got a bunch of different sources of data that represent what's happening to a player that then we translate into what's going on the left. Very cool. Each one of these objects has a similar level of complexity, but all come together now talking in this business language.
on this list so far, I believe he's the best team player in the world. He doesn't have to steal the show and be the hero of the team, but he's someone who's able to do what's necessary in different situations, whether that be sitting back and supporting his teammate or being the one going in and taking the 50-50s. This skill set is super unique and makes him a really valuable player for any team, and I'm sure that in the coming years he'll be able to secure way more great tournament placements and maybe even 1 or 2 more FNCS titles. And when we're talking about players who have only won 1 FNCS, we also need to talk about Kanada. He won in FNCS Major 3, so just a little over 4 months ago. Of course, Kanada is someone who always performs in tournaments, but although his tournament placements are incredibly respectable, he has a hard time winning the major events. Other than his recent win, he has gone 2nd, 3rd twice, 4th twice, and 5th twice. So needless to say, he is a phenomenal all-around player, and the only reason he is 14th and not higher up is because of his not so great global placements of 18th in the 2023 Global Championships and 22nd in the 2022 FNCS Invitational. Much like Kanada, Acorn is someone who always performs super well on his home region, but although a relatively good placements of 7th and 13th in the 2 previously mentioned lands, there's still a long way to go for Acorn to be considered one of the absolute best of all time, and because of that, he is the 15th best FNCS winner ever. Going back in time a little bit, we of course also need to talk about Sate. He won the first ever Duos FNCS in the start of 2020 alongside Saf. Sate is an interesting individual and player. His strength was being more structured than most and playing high ground at what at the time was the highest level possible. Going into the World Cup in 2019, almost a year before he won FNCS, him and Saf were favorites by many to win the entire tourney. That says a lot about how highly the community regarded Sate's abilities to perform both under pressure and against other top tier players. As we all know, the Duo World Cup trophy was not lifted by Sate and Saf, but rather Nyrox and Aqua. But Sate still ended with an impressive 4th place and got a great chunk of tournament earnings from this performance as well. He does not play Fortnite any longer, but his name will forever remain in the history of competitive. Circling back to extremely underrated players, Dukes is the 17th best FNCS winner, and unlike both Sate and Kanada, he has not only won 1 FNCS, but he has actually managed to get 3 FNCS wins. The crazy thing about Dukes is that the first time he won FNCS, he was playing with 2 players who, objectively speaking, weren't even close to potential FNCS winners. But although all 3 played pretty good on game day, Dukes was the clear MVP of the trio, having the majority of the eliminations, and also nearly all points that were from clutch situations was because of him. Dukes is a phenomenal fighter because of his world-class mechanics, and I think this attribute is one of the factors behind his continued success competitively. And when